Well, American politics has certainly become a sore subject for a lot of people.
You know, it's hard to talk about at family gatherings, even with friends.
Author and educator George Goens is the author of the new book, Civility Lost, The Media, Politics, and Education. And in it, he talks about the differences we have and how we can approach them civilly and talk about different solutions.
George lives in Connecticut and is here to tell us more about the book. First of all, when did it strike you, and where did you get the impetus to write a book about civility? Did something happen in your life, or, you know, what happened?
Well, several things happened. One is I read the newspapers. I'm active politically in terms of knowing what's going on in politics. And I do consulting as an educator. And the key point that helped me out is kind of funny in a way. I was going through the airport in Milwaukee, and I was taking all my stuff out of my briefcase, my pockets, everything else.
Which is daunting.
To go through the line, I was discombobulating.
Right.
And I went through the line, picked up all my stuff, and they have an official sign at the end of the TSA line called the recombobulation area. And I looked at that sign, and at first I chuckled about it, but then I realized that's what has to happen in the United States. We're discombobulated. And we have to find ways to recombobulate, and the best way to do that is to address the civility issue.
Yeah.
Because we've become much more uncivil to each other, and 80% of the people in a poll indicated that civility is one of the biggest problems facing the United States today.
So if you're in a conversation and you don't agree with someone, that's nothing new. But what people need to do is express their opinions in a more civil way, I guess. What would be a jumping off point? If you're at dinner and you're disagreeing about politics, what would you advise people to do?
Well, you don't call the person a lunatic, first of all. I mean, that's one of the things you don't do is name call and disparage people.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, that keeps some people out of the conversation entirely, actually.
Right.
I've heard one way that you just disarm people a little bit is like, oh, I can see where you're coming from, though I think, like, we can acknowledge another person's viewpoint. That might help.
Right. The main thing is to listen actively. And active listening means that I understand the content of your message, but I also understand the intent of your message. Mm-hmm. What is your intention? And sometimes people's intention is just to tell their own story. They have a personal belief or a particular position because of what happened in their life. Mm. And if you just say, well, you're a racist or you're an anti-feminist or whatever it is, by labeling the person, they're going to shut up and not express themselves, and there's going to be a certain amount of anger in it. So active listening is one of the biggest things we have to relearn in terms of having conversations that are going to mean something.
Kara, during the break, brought up a point that, you know, there have been times in our country's past where things have been bad, possibly even worse than where they are right now. I'm thinking it's pretty bad right now. Where do you see it?
I think according to recent polls, incivility is one of the biggest problems, and the public blames several factors. Politicians are one of the most prevalent indicator that by people that are becoming less civil. Second thing is social media, because people get on their social media, they're on their phones.
Anything.
Well, even being on the phone and when people are talking to you is kind of an uncivil act.
Right.
And so social media is a big problem because people get into their intellectual silos and don't talk to people across a spectrum, and they only talk to people who agree with them. And sometimes when they do reach out, they reach out anonymously because you don't even know who said that comment.
Yeah.
And they do it anonymously. And the third is newspapers, the media, that form of media has been identified as an area that is not promoting civility, but is promoting incivility.
Newspapers, more so than other media, online or television?
Online, television, certainly not.
Not Better Connecticut.
Not Better Connecticut.
We are full support of civility.
But a lot of other things on television, when you see, particularly on cable, you see what I call them talking heads. You either have a liberal talking head or a conservative talking head, and they never...
And people watch to just watch them
they
fight.
Watch,
it's become
or
entertainment.
they just watch one or the other, and you never get the people in the same room, so you have a conversation that you can understand. Why do they take the position? What are the ups and downs of that position? And is there any common ground between us that we can come together?
We only have about 30 seconds left, but when it comes to kids and civility, do you have any messages for us there? teaching them how to, yeah.
Yes, there's a message in the book about education, and I think in a nutshell, I think kids need a good, comprehensive education, but they also have to learn about critical thinking, complex thinking, and skeptical thinking. Skeptics are not bad because they're going to say, can you prove to me what's your evidence for taking that particular position? And the other thing is they have to learn statistics. My granddaughter's in college and she's not excited about statistics. I said, take it. It's the most valuable math course you can take because we get a lot of numbers, a lot of statistics, and you have to understand if they're factual, really, or whether they're skewed in one way or the other.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me.
This was a very civil conversation.
It was so civil.
Very civil. Thank you.
Again, the book is called Civility Lost, and it's available now in stores and online.
And you can find more information about George and a list of his other books on his website, georgegoens.com.